Okay, good weekend, positive weekend. I think everybody, just seeing the guys this morning, everybody had a chance to get refreshed, recharged a little bit, including the coaches as well. Um, Obviously, I think as a coaching staff, you have a chance to do a little bit of extra work this weekend as well. Um, we always talk about our self scout, which we do week to week, but you just double check all that stuff. And then you also probably, I think a lot of us coaches, really get a chance to watch a little bit more than normal of some film from around the league, just looking for ideas, a tweak or two here or there, an idea or something. So good weekend. Um, Looking forward to this week, another big game, a division game. We got to have a great week of preparation. We'll get Jacksonville's best. Feel like our players are in a good mindset and looking forward to the opportunity we have to take a next important step.
All right, Joel Erickson.
Hey Frank, you guys used a lot of quick game early in your first year here when you were trying to figure out the offensive line. Are defenses taking that away from you more than they have in the past?
No, we actually call a lot of quick rhythm stuff. I don't know what the percentage is, but basically our plan every week includes, we're like every team. We say, hey, the way we're going to help in the protection area is we're going to call quick game, then what we call like rhythm passing game, which is kind of five-step timing stuff. Then you got to run some play action to help it. You got to run the ball. But what we've talked about, Joel, more than anything is what has been giving us the problem is, we've just been behind the sticks, not just on third down, but really even on second down. Been a lot of second and long, a lot of third and long. And when you give defenses a chance to pin their ears back, you're swimming upstream. So we just got to be efficient on first and second down. Some of that, like you're saying, Joel, involves quick game. But that's not the only answer, right? But we do run a fair amount of it as we go.
It kind of feels like defenses, not just with you guys, but that's kind of the name of the game early on here, is taking some of that quick stuff away from quarterbacks. Just kind of watching games yesterday, do you feel like that's maybe something the defenses are trying to do now more?
Yeah, I do. I do. They're trying to cheat coverages, play with vision, play certain coverages and looks that, will take that first read away, take that, know what the progression is, try to do that stuff. But that's why you got to continually mix to keep somebody off balance. You got to be able to throw play action on first down and throw a chunk. You got to be able to throw a quick game the next time. Then you got to be able to, run the ball. You got to be able to run an RPO. You guys know I like to use the analogy of a boxing match all the time. You got to be able to throw jabs, and then throw a combination, and find that rhythm, which is the one thing that we've had a hard time doing. We've talked a lot about finding our rhythm, in a boxing match, sequencing plays, getting the execution that we want. So we'll continue to fight to find that rhythm.
Zach Kiefer.
Frank, we've talked a lot about the offensive issues, the third and longs, the line. What is your comfort? And then that makes it harder to evaluate the quarterback because of all those things, right? But what is your evaluation of Matt 5 games in, and what is your comfort with his production at this point?
My evaluation and my comfort with Matt as our starting quarterback is very high. I understand. I know everybody does. I'm probably, obviously I feel like I have a deeper understanding, having played the position for a long time, having coached the position for a long time, understanding all the dynamics that go into having an effective quarterback play. What's the effect of playing behind the sticks and not being, having a run game that's been subpar, so on and so forth. But at the same time, you're always pushing and coaching somebody to get better. One of the great things about Matt is, like every great player, he's hard on himself. So it, like in his mind, hey, it doesn't matter that we're playing behind the sticks. I have to do better. And obviously the number one thing is the turnovers. We have to get that cleaned up. Again, some of those are on him, but they're not all on him. But that's the biggest thing. I think in other ways, look at certain things in the pass game. He made 3 or 4 throws in that last game that were elite. That if you really look at the tight copy and you see a couple of the throws that he made, they're unreal throws. So, and then I think we're getting these young guys going in the passing game, getting more guys involved. It's not just Pittman anymore. You know, we're spreading the ball around. I think that can be good for us going forward.
Stephen Holder.
Hey, Frank. Sticking with Matt, I wonder, we've talked about the fumbles specifically, and it's just so odd. I don't know how to explain it, but it is, we're 5 games in. We keep seeing multiple fumbles in each game. It feels like. Have you seen anything that you can put your finger on that you guys can say, all right, here's something, here's a possible solution or a problem we can target? I mean, is there anything you see? And just generally, how do you work on that? I mean, with a guy who's been doing this for 15 years.
Yeah. We have talked about, obviously everybody's going to say, the thing that everybody's going to say is 2 hands on the ball in the pocket as long as you possibly can. Okay. That's what everybody's going to say. So now within that framework, there's, 1 or 2 things that we've talked about with him. I'm not going to outline those here. I mean, I'm not going to get into that kind of detail here, but obviously when you're having that issue, you at one point, just like you said, Stephen, you're like, okay, well, it's the maturity to say, hey, I got 14 years of film that says that this is a fluke for him. But no, wait a second, it's not a fluke to us because we feel the pain of those. So we better get this thing fixed. So it's that combination of, hey, I got extreme confidence in Matt that we're gonna get this cleaned up. But on the other hand, at the same time, I feel like, hey, we got to have a sense of urgency now. We got, hey, what little things can we do? What little things can we do? I know these aren't all his fault, but what can we do to clean these up? And so we've talked about those with Matt, and he's making a conscious effort.
Well, one quick follow up. I imagine just human nature. Defenses, they watch the tape, they see the ball on the ground. What is the cumulative effect, do you think, just of defenses seeing that and maybe being more aggressive toward the ball? I don't know. Maybe they're coming forward anyway. But do you think that that's something you have to guard against?
You're 100% right, Stephen. I mean, it's like the piranha, it's blood in the water. I mean, it's blood in the water. I mean, you show that on tape and it's a feeding frenzy. It's a feeding frenzy. So it's always going to be a feeding frenzy. That's the way D linemen and pass rushers think. But they think it even a little bit more when they know that the ball comes out. So it's just like the same thing we talk about in the blitz. You get a lot of teams bringing a lot of pressure versus us. Well, all we got to do is just stone the pressure in his face and get a couple of huge plays, and that'll make teams think twice about it. So you're exactly right. Everything you put on tape is a cumulative effect, and it affects the games going forward.
Chap.
Frank, you talked about being behind the stick so much. It seems like so much of it is sort of self-inflicted with the negative plays, negative rushes, sacks, penalties, fumbles. Are these sort of self-inflicted that you're kind of doing this to yourself? I mean, give the defense credit, but this seems like more on you guys than the other team.
No doubt. That's exactly right. Which is why we got confidence that we can snap out of it and get things going. They are self-inflicted. I mean, I don't know where we are in penalties as far as where we rank in the league, but I know we can do a better job at eliminating some of those. I feel very confident we can do a better job at eliminating the sacks, and I feel confident that we're going to continue to make improvements in our run game. Now we got to prove that. But to your point, Chap, like even just looking at Jacksonville, and I haven't watched a ton of their offensive tape yet, but here's a team that hadn't scored a bunch recently, but they've moved the ball. They've gained a lot of yards, I think, in the last couple of weeks, but they've turned it over in the last 2 weeks. So I'm sure if I'm Coach Peterson, I'm saying, hey, all we got to do is clean up the turnovers. We're moving the ball. What we're looking at though is, hey, if we can stop the self-inflicted stuff, this isn't just about the turnovers. We got to be more productive on first down and second down to stay in phase. And I just think that's going to go a long way to solving some of the issues that we're having.
Quick follow-up. You guys make the drastic move of changing 3 offensive linemen last week. Have you decided that Ryman's going to be your left tackle and you're just going to have him grow into the position?
No, we have not. We've had small conversations right over the weekend. There were no formal meetings, right? We were all kind of getting rest and then doing some work on our own. So we'll get at those discussions this week here early on, later today and tomorrow, and solidify, what our plan will be going forward.
Thanks, Frank.
George Bremer.
Frank, couple of quick ones. One, is there any sense of where JT's at right now, going into this week?
No, there's not. And I was actually I'm glad you asked that question, because really, with all these guys on the injury thing, I got the list here. I mean, I haven't talked to the trainers and doctors yet today, and really talked to these guys about injuries. So, it's going to take me the next day or two to kind of get a sense on where all these guys are at.
The other one, just with that lineup change, was there any hesitation on the offensive line, given that you really didn't have a practice week, just a couple of walkthroughs last week? What went into that decision?
We discussed it, but no hesitation, just because, we've had some cumulative reps. We got confidence in our guys, and and then we're trying to put the best 5 on the field that we thought. And, we had long conversations about it, and we feel like we do a good job. We do a good job in the walkthroughs to get a lot of looks and feel the intensity of the decision making that you have to have, and so on and so forth. So just felt confident that, we could get the guys ready to play. It's always better when you get live reps, but we still had a confidence we could get them ready to play.
All right, James Boyd.
Frank, Zaire's stepped in for Shaq pretty much all season at this point, leads the NFL in tackles. If Shaq's the heartbeat, soul of this team, as others have described, how would you characterize Zaire, what he brings to the table, and how he's been playing so far?
Man, with days. I mean, like, those are two guys I could talk about. When you talk about leadership and playmaking, those are two guys that I could talk all day about. Different personalities, different way of doing it. But Zaire, you don't have to be limited to one guy being the heart and soul of the team. I mean, these guys complement each other, right? I mean, it's like, what's the musical analogy? That's harmony. All the corny stuff you want, let's throw it all out there. I mean, you got two guys that are the epitome of everything you want in a competitor. They're the epitome of everything you want in your leader and a teammate, the whole package. And Zaire, he's just tough, man. When you think of Zaire, the first thing that dude is tough. He's just physically and mentally tough. And he's incredibly smart, a great teammate, and a great leader.
All right, we'll go 2 more. JJ.
Frank, as you figure out some of these offensive issues you mentioned, and figure out the identity on that side of the ball, to have a defense that's shut down 2 games and clinched 2 wins, and kind of has that mentality, what does that do for the team kind of going forward?
Man, it does everything. I mean, to be able to be struggling on offense and have the defense not just hold you in games, but clinch games, as you said, I think it makes us closer as a team. A credit to the defense, though, for not just making the plays to clinch games, but for not pointing fingers while the offense has been struggling. You haven't felt that, not even the slightest bit. The energy on the side, we've been talking about this all year, the energy on the sideline, the camaraderie in the locker room on the sideline. This is a team. That's what these guys are. And I believe that we'll continue to see and reap the rewards of that as the season progresses. But when you go through struggles, it's a big deal. And our defense is doing it both on and off the field in that way.
All right, last one, Nate Atkins.
Yeah, with the offensive line, you mentioned it's about getting the best 5 out there, but it's also a position that obviously plays so much, in harmony. So I guess what is the balance there in figuring out, making the necessary changes, doing it differently to make improvements while also letting something build?
Exactly. You're exactly right, Nate. That is the balance that you got to find. I mean, the crazy thing is, in this league, once the season starts, there's so many injuries, right? That we've had a couple of years where we've been fortunate with it, but so at some level, every team has to deal with it. But yeah, we'd love to settle in here. And find the right mix, and then adjust and adapt as we need to when there's injuries. But you're exactly right. That's the blend here. The tension that we're dealing with.